Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Sarah, and today, we're diving into an important global issue, deforestation.
Hi, I'm Jack. Deforestation is a topic that affects all of us, whether we live in a city, town, or village. The destruction of forests has far reaching impacts on the environment and our daily lives.
That's right. But first, let's start by explaining what deforestation is. Vocabulary tip: deforestation means the cutting down or removal of trees in forests. It can happen for many reasons, such as making space for agriculture, urbanization, or logging for wood.
Exactly. Forests are incredibly important because they provide homes for animals, they produce oxygen, and they help regulate the Earth's climate. So when we lose forests, we lose a lot more than just trees.
Let's start with the basics. Jack, what are some of the main causes of deforestation today?
Great question, Sarah. One of the biggest causes of deforestation is agriculture. In many parts of the world, forests are cleared to make room for crops like soy, palm oil, and for cattle farming. This is especially true in places like the Amazon rainforest.
Yes, and this process is called slash and burn. Vocabulary tip: slash and burn means cutting down trees and then burning them to create land for farming. It's common in tropical rainforests but is very harmful to the environment.
That's a good point. Another major cause of deforestation is logging, which is when trees are cut down to make products like paper and furniture. While logging can be done responsibly, it often happens in ways that are not sustainable.
Right. And urbanization, which is the expansion of cities and towns, also contributes to deforestation. As populations grow, more land is needed for homes, roads, and infrastructure, which means forests are cleared.
Exactly. But deforestation doesn't just affect the environment, it also has economic and social impacts. Many indigenous people live in forests and rely on them for food, shelter, and medicine. When forests are destroyed, these communities are displaced and lose their way of life.
That's such an important point. Now, let's talk about the environmental consequences of deforestation. One of the biggest issues is climate change. Vocabulary tip: climate change refers to the long-term changes in temperature and weather patterns, mostly due to human activities.
When trees are cut down, they release carbon dioxide, CO2, into the atmosphere. Forests act like a sponge, absorbing CO2, which helps reduce the amount of greenhouse gases that cause global warming. So, deforestation contributes directly to climate change.
And it's not just about CO2. Forests also help maintain the water cycle. When trees are removed, there is less evaporation of water into the atmosphere, which can lead to droughts in some regions and flooding in others.
Exactly. Deforestation can also lead to soil erosion. Vocabulary tip: soil erosion is when the top layer of soil is removed by wind or rain. Without trees to hold the soil together, it washes away more easily, which can lead to poor agricultural conditions and loss of biodiversity.
Biodiversity refers to the variety of plant and animal life in a particular habitat. Forests are home to thousands of species, many of which are endangered. When we lose forests, we also lose these species.
It's a cycle that harms the entire ecosystem. But, let's not forget there are solutions. Sarah, what are some of the ways we can fight deforestation?
There are many ways. One is reforestation, which is the process of planting new trees to replace the ones that were cut down. It's not a perfect solution, but it helps restore the balance.
Yes, and another solution is promoting sustainable farming and logging practices. Sustainable means doing something in a way that does not harm the environment in the long term. This includes using land more efficiently and cutting down fewer trees.
Also, governments and organizations can create protected areas where logging and farming are not allowed. These protected areas help preserve the forest and its biodiversity.
That's a great point, and as individuals, we can also help by reducing our consumption of products that contribute to deforestation, like palm oil, and by recycling paper and wood products.
Exactly. Every little action counts. Let's encourage our listeners to become more aware of the products they use and how they can reduce their environmental impact.
Yes, it's important to remember that deforestation is a global issue. and we all play a part in solving it. Now, before we wrap up, let's summarize what we've discussed today.
Sure, we started by explaining what deforestation is and its main causes, such as agriculture, logging, and urbanization.
Then, we talked about the environmental consequences, like climate change, loss of biodiversity, and soil erosion. We also highlighted the impact on indigenous communities.
And finally, we discussed some solutions, including reforestation, sustainable practices, and creating protected areas. We also mentioned ways that individuals can help by making more eco-friendly choices.
We hope today's conversation has been informative and that you've learned some new vocabulary along the way.
Yes, and we encourage you to think about your own habits and how they might impact the environment. Small changes can make a big difference.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. If you have any questions or thoughts on deforestation, feel free to share them with us on social media. We'd love to hear from you.
Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to improve and provide you with the best learning experience.
Until next time, keep learning and stay aware of how your actions affect the world around you.
See you soon, everyone!